Welcome to today's Explainer. Have you ever wondered what it would be like if your actual everyday reality suddenly turned into a video game tech tree? Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. It's a story of escalation that moves at a truly incredibly absurd pace. We're going to chart the breakneck progression of a guy named Victor Wells. He goes from being just a small-town mechanic to becoming an absolute national treasure. And this whole journey starts with fixing basic household appliances before rapidly, and I mean rapidly, spiraling into redefining modern physics and global defense.
Talk about an insane glow-up, right? You start with Victor's incredibly humble beginnings. He's just an appliance repairman in a small country shop, charging maybe $10 to replace a coupler on a blender. Fast forward just a few months, and he is personally sanctioned by the US government. He's placed on international watch lists for inventing a functional electromagnetic railgun and deploying it on a live streaming platform. I mean, how do we get from a $10 blender fix to becoming a global defense threat in the blink of an eye?
The crucial piece of the puzzle here is the core mechanic driving this entire phenomenon. It's called the Universal Repair System. Basically, it's a system Victor activated that literally gamifies his reality. Every single time he repairs something, he gains experience points. But here is the absolute kicker. The amount of points he gets is directly tied to the real-world value of the item he's fixing. Just think about how that would change your day job, getting paid in a universal currency based on the MSRP of whatever you just touched. And these points, they act as a currency he can use in a system marketplace to buy crazy blueprints, exotic materials, and highly advanced repair equipment. The true escalation kicks off when a seriously high-value item rolls into his shop. A customer brings in a McLaren GT with a faulty fueled injector. Now, because that car is valued at nearly $2.8 million, fixing it yields a massive payout. By replacing a single part in exactly 3 minutes, all while live streaming to an audience, mind you, Victor nets a whopping 2,790,000 experience points. This massive, sudden leap gives him the capital to access much, much higher tier upgrades in his system. But honestly, a supercar? That's just a warm-up. The real test happens when a viewer on his stream challenges him to fix a decommissioned, battle-damaged medium tank. It's essentially a giant pile of scrap, but the system offers him a limited-time mission with a 10 times multiplier reward. So Victor leverages his newly acquired points to completely overhaul this tank in just 3 days. This nets him a staggering 4 million experience points. And, as you might guess, it immediately puts him squarely on the radar of the military establishment, who are absolutely baffled that a random civilian just casually fixed an unfixable tank. Because of that tank stunt, the military asks him to take a look at the chassis of a broken Red Hawk A9 missile launcher. And the timeline on this is just breakneck. Okay, day 1, he gets access to the broken chassis. Day 2, he realizes the system will let him upgrade the anti-aircraft radar for 9 million points, so he buys this insane quantum radar upgrade. Day 3, while out on a road test, they detect a massive meteorite hurtling toward a village. Now, this meteorite is composed of materials that block traditional radar, making it effectively stealth. But Victor's newly upgraded quantum radar locks right onto it and blows it out of the sky. He did all of this in 72 hours. You can imagine the absolute shock from the experts. The military realizes he didn't just fix a truck, he accidentally solved the global anti-stealth problem. Dr. Zachary, who is a top academic in the Academy of Sciences, delivers this incredible quote. He's marveling at the fact that he spent half his life stuck in theory, while Victor, a 20-something tech school grad, just casually applied anti-stealth tech in practice. The comedic gap here is just amazing. Victor is immediately hailed as a national asset and handed an academic title. Now you'd think he'd take a break, right? Nope. Victor takes the stealth material he reverse-engineered from that meteorite and applies it to a domestic project, his Uncle Jack's $1,000 mobility scooter, the Senior Cruiser. He starts casually replacing the frame with aviation-grade titanium alloy. Then he installs a smart voice AI. He boosts its top speed to an absolutely insane 300 miles per hour. And finally, he wraps the entire grocery getter in a military-grade nano-wave-absorbing stealth coating. Naturally, this leads to some completely ridiculous situations with the local authorities. The Linton traffic police try to pull over this senior cruiser, but their cameras and speed radars literally cannot see it. It has a lower radar cross-section than a 6th-generation fighter jet. The police are utterly bewildered, trying to figure out how to impound a senior citizen's mobility scooter that is casually bending the rules of aerodynamics and electromagnetic detection. Through all these wild stunts on his live stream, Victor hits a massive milestone, 1 million followers. This completes a huge system challenge, and his reward is the Precision Master Machine. This thing is a real game changer. It's a zero-code smart programming tool that essentially allows him to build other machines and synthesize complex materials right out of thin air. He is completely bypassing the need for traditional industrial production lines. It fundamentally changes how he crafts from here on out.
With this new Precision Master Machine in hand, Victor is assigned to a civilian project, localizing domestic fire equipment. Using the machine's fusion capability, he starts combining standard, everyday fire extinguishers with military hardware he borrowed from the local base. So he fuses an extinguisher with a grenade launcher to make a personal suppression weapon. Or actually, how about fusing one with an old tank for a multi-barreled rapid-fire system? He even fuses an extinguisher with a Red Hawk missile to create an intercontinental precision-guided firefighting weapon. Just absolutely wild combinations.
To put out fires faster, Victor reasons that you just need to instantly consume all the oxygen in the area. Makes sense, right? So he tests a custom fire extinguishing shell loaded with white phosphorus and thermobaric subnuclear explosives. He fires it at an abandoned mine, and the resulting vacuum explosion instantly snuffs out the fire. But it also registers to the State Emergency Department as a 1.5 magnitude earthquake. The sheer absurdity of using literal weapons of mass destruction for fire safety is just a brilliant running theme here.
I mean, just compare a standard fire engine to Victor's ultimate solution. Instead of your standard ladders and water hoses, he builds an armored 8x8 vehicle equipped with a roof-mounted electromagnetic railgun. When a chemical plant catches fire in the city, standard trucks can't get close enough without risking a deadly explosion. So Victor's solution? He parks 20 kilometers away and literally snipes the chemical fire using supersonic battery-powered rounds from his railgun.
Now, this public test of a railgun, a technology the U.S. military had spent 20 years trying to crack and actually deemed impossible, is live-streamed on a short video app. This causes immediate geopolitical panic. The U.S. intelligence chief is absolutely stunned that an account called Victory Appliance Repairs is casually deploying next-generation defense tech to put out localized fires. So naturally, the U.S. slaps immediate international sanctions on Victor's small-town repair shop.
To protect him and properly utilize his talents, the nation's leadership steps in and puts Victor in charge of a newly formed Victory Defense Industrial Group. He needs massive amounts of system points for his next big project, so he employs a guy with a history of international trade fraud to export seemingly civilian goods. It's the ultimate XP farming loophole. Their strategy? Exporting gas tanks packed with nitrated sugar for large explosions, modifying standard steel pipes into rifled barrels, and selling farming tractors that are explicitly designed to launch loitering drones. By selling these highly questionable, thinly veiled weapons as civilian equipment on the international market, Victor generates a staggering amount of revenue. The system converts this financial success into an incredible 1.2 billion experience points. Just let that number sink in. This massive milestone gives him the capital required to finally unlock the absolute most complex and expensive blueprints in the entire system's marketplace.
So, what does one do with 1.2 billion points? Well, he decides to address the nation's most critical vulnerability, a total microchip embargo. Using his Precision Master Machine, Victor synthesizes chips from his uncle's stealth senior cruiser, the Red Hawk missile, and those exported loitering munitions. He fuses them all together to generate the blueprint and construct a superior photolithography machine. To put that into perspective, it's like solving the entire global semiconductor shortage overnight using spare parts from a mobility scooter and a missile.
At this point, Victor's status is completely untouchable. When a disgruntled local businessman from his early days tries to bring thugs to Victor's shop to settle a petty grudge, the nation's highest executive personally intervenes. The executive has the thugs hauled away and delivers a quote that cements Victor not just as a great mechanic, but as the absolute pillar of the nation's technological dominance. By the end of this journey, Victor is casually discussing plans to build an artificial sun and master controlled nuclear fusion, all while proposing to his brilliant assistant, Emily. If the universal repair system allows a single person to go from replacing $10 couplers to bending the laws of physics and geopolitics in mere months, well, what actual limits does this system have? It's a fascinating look at how compounding progression can escalate into the truly unimaginable. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the limits of what's possible.